the most gifted mind to ever enter its classrooms.
This is correct.
Meet Will Hunting.
I've been looking over this rap sheet of yours. Assault, theft, resisting.
Will Hunting. The movie begins with Will Hunting mopping the floors at MIT, just another janitor nobody notices. Professor Gerald Lambeau finishes his lecture and writes a brutal theorem on the hallway board, promising whoever solves it will get published in the MIT newspaper. He mentions that previous students who cracked it went on to become renowned mathematicians. That night at the bar with his buddy Chucky, Will can't stop thinking about the problem. He leaves early, goes home to his cramped apartment, and works on it using his bathroom mirror as a makeshift board. The next day, between mopping duties, he writes the solution on the hallway board when no one's watching. Lambeau discovers the solved theorem and loses his mind. He interrogates his students, but nobody claims it. Confused and curious, he writes an even harder problem on the board, one that took him and his colleagues 2 years to crack. His next class is packed with students, eager to see who the mystery genius is, but no one steps forward. Will and his friends, Chucky, Morgan, and Billy, head to a baseball game. They spot Will's childhood bully harassing someone. Later, when they see him acting up again, Will snaps. He gets out of the car and beats the guy senseless. The cops arrive. Will takes a swing at an officer, and that's it. He's arrested. Lambeau catches Will solving the second impossible problem on the board. He mistakes him for a vandal defacing the wall and chases after him, but Will disappears. When Lambeau returns to check the board, he realizes the solution is correct. The janitor is his mystery genius. Will shows up in court facing serious charges. The judge reads his record: multiple assaults, petty crimes, a history of bouncing between foster homes where he suffered severe physical abuse. Despite Will's attempts to defend himself with impressive legal knowledge, quoting the Constitution and arguing about liberty and civil rights with the precision of a lawyer, the judge sets bail at $50,000 and sends him to jail. Lambeau tracks Will down and visits him in prison. He's made a deal with the judge. Will walks free under 2 conditions: weekly math sessions with Lambeau and mandatory therapy. Will laughs at the therapy part, but agrees. Freedom beats a cell. The math sessions go brilliantly. Will solves complex problems like he's doing basic arithmetic, and Lambeau is amazed. Therapy is a disaster. Will reads each therapist's books the night before and mocks them during sessions. One therapist tries hypnosis. Will pretends to have repressed memories and freaks him out. Another quits after Will tears apart his published work. Lambeau is running out of options. He reaches out to his old college roommate, Sean McGuire, now a community college psychology professor. Sean initially refuses, too busy, but Lambeau convinces him by comparing Will to Ramanujan, the self-taught Indian mathematician who changed the field. Sean agrees to 1 session. Will walks into Sean's office with his usual cocky attitude. He mocks Sean's book collection, makes sarcastic comments, does everything to push him away. Sean doesn't bite. Then Will notices a painting on the wall, one Sean painted himself. Will starts psychoanalyzing Sean based on the artwork, making assumptions about his life. Sean stays calm until Will brings up his wife. He keeps probing, asking if she cheated on him. Sean grabs Will by the throat and pins him against the wall. He warns Will to never disrespect his wife again. Session over. Lambeau thinks Sean will quit, but Sean surprises everyone by scheduling another session for next week. Meanwhile, Will goes on a date with Skylar, the Harvard student he met at a bar. Before their date, Will and his friends were at a Harvard bar when Chucky tried flirting with 2 girls by pretending he was in their history class. On their date, she tells him about her wealthy background and plans to attend Stanford Medical School. They hit it off. At the end of the night, they kiss. The second therapy session happens outside on a park bench. Will starts his usual routine, but Sean cuts him off. He spent all night thinking about Will's comments, and he has something to say. Will is just a scared kid who knows nothing about real life. He can quote books about art, but has never left Boston to see the Sistine Chapel in person. never smelled the paint, or felt the awe of standing beneath that ceiling. He can recite poems about love, but has never been vulnerable with anyone. Never woken up next to someone and felt truly happy. He can reference war literature, but has never held a dying friend in his arms. Sean shares that his wife died of cancer. The point is clear. Will hides behind knowledge to avoid feeling anything. He calls Will an orphan, just like himself, and asks if his life could be understood by someone just reading Oliver Twist. Will needs to open up if he wants to be understood. In the next session, Will sits in silence for the entire hour. Sean matches him. Fourth session, same thing. Then Will finally cracks and tells Sean a dirty joke. They start talking. Will mentions his date with Skylar, but admits he hasn't called her since. He's afraid of ruining the perfect image he has of her in his head. Sean tells him about his wife, how she used to fart in her sleep. Those imperfect little moments are what he misses most. Real relationships aren't about perfection. They're about finding someone whose flaws fit with yours. Will listens for the first time. He shows up at Skylar's dorm. She's studying a complex organic chemistry problem that will take hours. Will solves it on a napkin in seconds. They go on another date. She asks about his family. Will lies and says he has 12 brothers, rattling off 12 random names in sequence. When Skylar asks him to repeat it, he does, perfectly. She's suspicious, but impressed. During therapy, Will asks Sean if he regrets meeting his wife, knowing how it ended. Sean tells him about the day they met. He was in line with friends for tickets to what would become a legendary baseball game. Then he saw her. He ditched the game, spent the evening with her instead. Will can't believe he missed that historic game for a girl he just met. Sean says he'd make the same choice 1,000 times over. Skylar wants to meet Will's friends and family. Reluctantly, he introduces her to Chucky, Billy, and Morgan at a bar. She fits right in, laughing and drinking with them. But Chucky jokes that Will won't let her see his apartment, because once she sees how he really lives, she'll dump him fast. Lambo pressures Sean about Will's progress. He's been setting up job interviews at top companies, and he needs Will ready. Sean argues they shouldn't force decisions on him. Will needs to figure out what he wants. The argument escalates. Lambo insists Will's talent can't be wasted. Sean says pushing him will destroy him. Will sends Chucky to a job interview in his place. Chucky shows up acting ridiculous, confusing everyone, and ruins it. Skylar asks Will to move to California with her. Will panics. He makes excuses, gets defensive. Skylar confronts him about lying, about the non-existent brothers. Will explodes. He tells her he's an orphan who was abused in foster care. Skylar, crying, says she loves him and wants to help. Will pushes her away and lies that he doesn't love her back. He walks out. At another job interview, this time for the National Security Agency, Will shows up but gives a brilliant speech about why he'd never work for them, explaining how they'd use his intelligence to hurt ordinary people for political gain. He walks out. Sean asks Will what he wants to do with his life. Will jokes about being a shepherd. Sean realizes he's not being serious and tells him to leave. He won't waste time if Will won't be honest. Will gets angry, but Sean just keeps asking the same question. What do you want to do? Will stays silent. Sean tells him to get out. Before leaving for California, Skylar calls Will to say goodbye. She tells him she loves him. He smiles but can't say it back. She leaves. Will tells Chucky his plan to stay in Boston forever, working construction, living next door to him. Chucky's face hardens. He tells Will it kills him to see his friend waste his talent. Every morning when he picks Will up, he hopes Will won't be there. He hopes Will finally left that miserable life behind. Lambo and Sean have a massive fight. Lambo accuses Sean of enabling Will's failure. Sean says Lambo only cares about Will's intelligence, not his pain. Lambo calls Sean jealous of his success. Sean says he chose happiness over achievement, and he's not sorry. Will walks in during their argument. After Lambeau leaves, Sean shows Will his file, filled with photos of bruises from his abusive foster father. Sean reveals his own father was an alcoholic who beat him and his mother. Will remembers everything. Sean stands in front of Will and says it wasn't his fault. Will nods. Sean repeats it. Will says he knows. Sean keeps saying it. It's not your fault. Will tries to brush it off, but Sean won't stop. Finally, Will breaks. He collapses into Sean's arms, sobbing. Their final session, Will tells Sean he's taking one of the jobs Lambeau arranged. They hug goodbye. For his birthday, Chucky, Morgan, and Billy give Will a car they built from spare parts. Lambeau and Sean reconcile over drinks. The next morning, Chucky goes to pick up Will and finds his apartment empty. He smiles. Will left a note in Sean's mailbox saying he's not taking the job. He's going to California to find Skylar. The movie ends with Will driving west, finally ready to take a risk on love and leave his past behind. Thanks for watching till the end. Your support keeps us going and helps us bring more awesome stories to life. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and stay tuned for the next movie on Addict Recap.